Welcome back to Aurora Tech Channel. Today, I will review the AnyCubic Kobra 3. It's the third fast bed slinger that supports multiple filament or multiple color printing after the Prusa MMU and BambuLab AMS. The machine itself is priced at $339, and for $110 more, you will get the combo including the Ace Pro multiple filament system. The print volume is 250 by 250 by 260 millimeters, which is a bit bigger than the average standard size bed slinger. The motion system on the X and Y axis uses steel wheels, and the Z axis uses dual lead screws with palm wheels. The extruder is a direct extruder with hardened steel gears. The maximum nozzle temperature is 300 degrees Celsius, and the bed can reach up to 110 degrees Celsius. The print surface is a double-sided textured PEI sheet, and there's a nozzle wiping pad at the back of the print bed for nozzle cleaning. The bed leveling uses a strain gauge placed inside the print head, and it will also set the Z offset automatically. For the cooling system, it has a high RPM fan installed inside the front cover without any auxiliary fans. The firmware is most likely a Clipper variant, and the processor is a Rockchip Cortex A7 processor. It has two accelerometers, one inside the print head and one under the print bed to measure the X and Y axis input shaping separately. The claimed maximum print speed is 600 millimeters per second with the maximum acceleration of 20,000 millimeters per second squared. If we want to use it as a single filament printer, there's a spool holder at the left of the machine. If you order the combo, you will also get their multiple filament system called the Ace Pro. It's similar to the full-size BambuLab AMS on the X and P series. It's fully enclosed, and it can also work as a filament dryer, and you can use the screen or slicer to control the temperature and heating time. It can print up to 4 filaments at the same time for now, and you can connect another Ace Pro to print 8 colors after their new accessories are released in the third quarter of 2024. It supports filament tangle detection, filament backup mode, and for filament loading, you just need to lightly push in the filament and it will be loaded automatically. For other features, it has a 4.3-inch tiltable touchscreen, belt tensioners, a nozzle cleaner, and 2 USB ports at the front next to the Ace Pro connector for cameras and other future extensions. I would like to thank AnyCubic for sending us this machine to review and for sponsoring today's video. And with that, let's get started. The machine came in a large box. It's well protected by thick laser-cut foam, everything is put inside a bag, so you can just lift the whole machine up. The machine itself is almost fully assembled. We have the touchscreen, the print head, spool holder, some cables, a Bowden tube as a filament guide, and a nozzle wiping tool. If you order the combo with multiple filament systems, you will also see this Ace Pro device. Putting the machine together is straightforward, starting with the screen, then the print head, and the spool holder, which is snapped at the back of the machine. Plug in a few cables to the X-axis and the print head. Use the Bowden tube filament guide and install the nozzle wiping device on the right side of the gantry. I will try to manually move it and see if the nozzle will scratch at the spring-loaded scraping plate. Next, check the voltage switch at the back of the machine to make sure it matches your local voltage. If you just ordered the printer, it's ready to use, but I will also install the multiple filament Ace Pro. Connect the 4 Bowden tubes and the cable, as well as the power cord, then run the Bowden tubes through the holder at the left side of the gantry, and the cable from the Ace Pro will be connected to the front of the machine. The setup wizard is similar to other Kobra Clipper machines. Select the language and the cloud server location, then choose your local Wi-Fi and enter your password. After that, I will connect it to my AnyCubic cloud account to print over the network. AnyCubic said the machine will support only the local network without using the cloud, but this feature will be released in the third quarter of 2024. I will just use my app to select the printer, scan the QR code on the screen, and then it's automatically binded to my cloud account. Next, it requires you to insert the USB drive that came with the machine. It will start a self-test by checking the X, Y, and Z axis, followed by auto bed leveling. And finally, doing input shaping for the X-axis and then the Y-axis. Now, the setup wizard is done. It asks if we want to print the test print. I will select yes. I can see the first layer is a bit too high, but I won't manually change the Z offset yet and see how it prints. The print finishes in about 16 minutes. Everything seems to be working fine, but the auto Z offset is a bit high. For a small print like this, it should be fine, but for larger prints, this may not be good. The machine is preloaded with some other sample prints. I will first try the 11-minute fast Benchy. Once it prints a few more layers and reaches a higher speed, I will do a sound test. The sound meter is a few inches away, and the sound level stays at around the mid-50 decibels most of the time. When there are rapid movements, it may occasionally jump to the high 50s, but I didn't see it go above 60 decibels. The prep time is around 2 minutes. The printer will also cut the filament as I'm using the multiple filament system. This requires another 30 seconds, so the actual printing time is around 11 minutes. The result is not too bad. I can see some minor cooling issues. The surface is not very clean, and the front also has some cooling issues, but considering the speed, it is still acceptable. I will then use the slicer to slice a normal 0.2mm layer height 40-minute Benchy. Including the 2-minute prep time and 30-second finishing moves, it finished in 42 minutes and 33 seconds. I think I don't have to say which is which. The 40-minute one looks way better, and it's pretty close to a good quality Benchy that we would expect. There are no cooling issues, just a tiny bit of stringing, and overall it's a pretty decent 40-minute Benchy. I will then run some of our benchmark prints, starting with the number slider. This time the auto Z offset looks pretty good. The first layer squeezed down very well, and we can still see gaps between tiles. The print finished in 2 hours and 36 minutes, which is in line with the printing time of other new generation printers. The text is clear with virtually no stringing, and the bottom also looks perfect, and all tiles can move freely. Up next, I will test the tolerance of this machine by printing my simple geometric model and seeing if the parts can fit with each other. This print surprisingly finished in just 1 hour and 42 minutes, which is way faster than the average 2 hour and 15 minute to 2.5 hour printing time. On the square side, it can fit from 0.225 all the way to 0.05 millimeters, which is the perfect score. On the cylinder side, it also achieved a perfect score as it cleared all the way to the tightest 0.05 millimeters. It seems the pressure advance of this machine is tweaked very well. Then, I will test the retraction of the extruder by printing a honeycomb box. The patterns are small, and it requires the extruder to print a tiny bit of filament and retract immediately. The print finishes in 1 hour and 27 minutes, which is much faster than other printers' 2 hour and 15 minute to 2.5 hour printing time. All of the Honeycomb can be printed without broken patterns, and there's also no stringing. Compared to other machines, the print from the Kobra 3 is one of the best, with one of the fastest times. Next, I will print the Robo Alpaca from Prusa to test the surface quality. The print finishes in 4 hours and 17 minutes. The surface quality is alright. Let's take a look at all sides and compare it with other printers. When compared to the Kobra 2 Pro, which is the fastest bed slinger I've ever tested, the Kobra 2 Pro surface quality is better and it's faster. Compared to the Creality Ender 3 V3 Core XZ, the Kobra 3 is faster and the surface quality is also slightly better. Compared to the BambuLab A1, the surface quality of the A1 is better, but the speed of the Kobra 3 is much faster. Compared to the Prusa MK4, with the latest input shaper firmware, the surface quality of the MK4 is better, but the printing time of the Kobra 3 is much faster. Let's try some different materials. When using the multiple filament system, the manufacturer only suggests printing PLA and PETG, so I will try PETG first. I will print a 200 by 200 by 225mm trash can. I won't use vase mode as I want to print 2 walls and 3 bottoms, so I will set it manually. By default, the volumetric speed of PETG is set to 6mm cubed per second, which will limit the speed to 75mm per second. The print finished in 4 hours and 57 minutes. This model is printed better on a standard sized bed slinger as there's not much ringing at the bottom or the top. Printing TPU with the multiple filament system may jam the gears, so I will just use the single spool holder at the back to print TPU by unplugging one of the bowed-in tubes and leaving a space for the single spool. I'm going to print a tire with this flexible filament. The print finished in 24 minutes. It was printed nicely, the side and the bottom look good, and I have no complaints about it. Okay, we can now start testing the ACE Pro Multiple Filament System, starting with my favorite Hello Kitty print. I used the AnyCubic slicer to paint the model, and it's basically the same as the bamboo slicer, but the one thing I'm not a fan of is that it doesn't show the estimated printing time with filament flushing when doing color changes. So this 6 hour 47-minute estimated time is inaccurate. For your reference, printing the same model with the BambuLab A1 takes around 15.5 hours. So let's see how fast this Kobra 3 can print the same model. When it starts to switch filaments, you can see the machine is flushing filaments most of the time. The print finished in 11 hours and 16 minutes, which is way faster than the BambuLab A1, which takes around 15.5 hours. The tree support is easy to remove, and the kitty is printed beautifully. There's no issue with the back, and as we printed this model with support, the overhanging part at the bottom also looks pretty nice. Let's check how much filament was wasted. The model itself is around 48 grams, and the prime tower is 28 grams. The flushed filament is exactly 200 grams, so it's actually 4 times more than the actual model. Normally, I would print multiple copies on a single print. The actual wasted filament is the same, but the ratio is reduced for multiple copies as the number of filament changes is the same. Next, I will print the Dragon Ball character Vegeta for my brother. The estimated time is just around 5 hours, not including the filament changing time, so let's see how long it's going to take this time. It finally finished in 8 hours and 44 minutes, so the time for filament change is around 3 hours and 44 minutes. This time the model itself used 19 grams of filament, the prime tower used 30 grams, and the flush filament for color changing took up 152 grams. Vegeta looks pretty cool, and although I didn't spend too much time cleaning the support, the overall result is pretty good. I ran the exact same G-code and changed the gold filament to black to print a normal Saiyan status with black hair. Once AnyCubic released the hub to connect two Ace Pros, I can print different Saiyan statuses with blue and red filament on a single print. Finally, I will print a PLA sheet to do the first layer test. I can see the first layer is a little bit too high, but the center area of the sheet is just right. The entire 220 by 220mm sheet finished in 30 minutes. It's not perfect, but it should be good enough for most prints. To achieve a better result, manually adjusting the Z offset is necessary. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of this machine, starting with the pros. 1. The build quality of this machine is good, with the entire frame and base being sturdier than any other AnyCubic Kobra series machine. It's also mostly assembled and takes less than 15 minutes to put everything together. 2. The print speed is faster than average, and the print accuracy is among the best. The surface quality is decent, but fairly average. Overall, the performance of this machine is above average. 3. The multiple filament printing system in the Ace Pro draws heavy inspiration from the BambuLab AMS, but enhances it. First, unlike the AMS Lite or the BambuLab A1, it features a fully enclosed filament box. Filament feeding is also much easier. Just push the filament in, and unlike the AMS, you don't have to lift a lever. Additionally, it can be a filament dryer, capable of heating up to 55 degrees Celsius with a 24-hour timer, and it's suitable for most common filaments. Priced similar to the AMS Lite, it offers the functionality of the AMS along with the added benefit of the dryer feature. Moreover, I figured out how to save space by stacking the entire printer on top of the filament box. Although this may not be the intended design, the space between the rubber legs fits perfectly on the top cover of the Ace Pro. I successfully printed multiple color models with the printer stacked like this without encountering any issues. 4. This machine is quiet as it doesn't have an auxiliary fan. The noise level is much lower than other open frame machines, which can go up to 70 decibels. It relies solely on the turbofan inside the print head, which still provides sufficient cooling. 5. Some handy features like filament tangle detection saved one of my prints when my spool got tangled. The tiltable screen is also a nice touch, and there are 2 USB ports for future extensions. I tested an unbranded $10 webcam as well as a Logitech C922, and both worked, so I believe it's compatible with a broad range of webcams. 6. The slicer works well and allows you to manage multiple printers. It gets most features from the Prusa slicer in Bambu Studio. It also includes a workbench tab that shows the control interface of the printer. Besides basic controls and filament management, you can use it to heat up the Ace Pro and use it as a filament dryer. However, I will also discuss the slicer's drawbacks in the cons section. Now for the cons. 1. The auto-Z offset is not consistent. While I have had a few prints with the perfect first layer, there are also some that are too high or too low. The range difference is not huge. Most of them are about 0.05 millimeters too high, but it still requires manual adjustment. For small prints, it may not be a big deal even if left as is. However, for bigger prints, especially those that require multiple colors and take 10 to 20 hours or even longer, I have to carefully watch the first layer and manually adjust the Z offset on the screen before walking away. I also had to apply glue to make sure the print sticks well. AnyCubic should probably improve the auto-Z and leveling algorithm to achieve more consistent results. 2. This printer is faster than average for most prints, but for some prints like the Robo Alpaca, which has a larger body that requires faster infill printing, it didn't print as quickly as the Kobra 2 Pro. I found that the Kobra 2 Pro has an infill acceleration set up to 20,000 millimeters per second squared, whereas the Kobra 3 is only set to 10,000 millimeters per second squared. This resulted in the Kobra 3 printing the Robo Alpaca an hour more slowly than the Kobra 2 Pro, which is still competitive compared to other new generation printers. But I would expect a newer model to print faster than, or at least as fast as an older model. We'll just have to wait and see if there are improvements in future firmware updates. 3. The slicer cannot accurately estimate the print time because it does not include the flushing time for filament changes. When printing multiple colors, the flushing time can sometimes be longer than the actual print time. Given that the AnyCubic slicer is derived from the open source Prusa slicer in Bambu Studio, there's no reason to have removed it. 4. Many other features are not yet available. They have a long list of estimated dates for different features and accessories, with most of them not being expected until the third quarter of 2024. 5. Like all other single print head multiple filament systems, filament waste can be substantial. I strongly recommend developing an affordable filament recycler. Personally, I don't want to get rid of bucket loads of filament waste, but non-DIY filament recyclers are quite expensive. While a multi-tool head machine like the Prusa XL can greatly reduce filament waste, it costs almost 10 times more than the Kobra 3. Therefore, an affordable multiple filament printer paired with a filament recycling machine would be a good solution. A recycler in the price range of $500 to $1,000 would likely see high demand, especially with the increasing availability of multiple color machines. In conclusion, this is the third fast bed slinger capable of multiple filament printing following the Prusa MMU and the BambuLab AMS. It competes directly with the BambuLab A1, offering exceptional value by adding an option for the Kobra 3 combo for an extra $110, which includes the Ace Pro. The Ace Pro performs as well as, if not better than, the $300 BambuLab AMS, and it also doubles as a filament dryer. The Ace Pro stands out as a clear winner among all other budget multiple filament devices. It performs better and costs less. I think AnyCubic did a great job with this product. The hardware and overall build quality of this machine are good, with better polished details compared to any other AnyCubic Kobra machines. The drawbacks are mainly in firmware and software, especially concerning the auto-Z offset. While the print speed is slightly faster than average, it falls short of the Kobra 2 Pro. The surface quality is decent, but there's still room for improvement. I look forward to future updates in the firmware and slicer software, and this machine could potentially earn a high ranking on my recommendation list once these issues are addressed. If you're interested in this machine, I've included the link to it as well as my website, AuroraTechChannel.com, which tracks prices for over 150 popular 3D printers, laser engravers, and CNC machines in the description. That's it for this video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.